Hello and welcome to the ESL Premiership, powered by Intel. My name is Nomad. Joining me is Mopara as we get into today's game. Now we are on the second week of this tournament, but first, it's been a long week. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing pretty well. We both went to Hamburg. I'm still recovering a little bit, but yeah, it's really nice to be back. I mean, Hamburg was awesome as well. So many good plays, so many good teams. But yeah, excited to be here.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, ESL in Hamburg was pretty fantastic. And what better way to get back into the Dota than having a look at the UK Dota scene here as we're supporting the up-and-coming players with this league. Now, you might not know, but this is a little bit of a different format. You see, there's no standardized teams here, and we've actually got 4 different teams each week which are randomly assembled. I'll let Mo take you through the rest of it.
Yeah, so obviously, like you said, they're random teams each week, so it's the top 4 MMR players on each position, and they all get a chance to play with probably as many people as they can. Might not be possible for everybody to play with each other, but we have a Team A versus Team B twice, and then we have Team C versus Team D twice. And then at the end of the 4 weeks, the top 2 MMRs from each position, they get to go through to the LAN finals.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're just kind of jumping through, trying out the different combinations of players, and you basically just got to win under any circumstances, no matter who you're with. You got to make it happen. So, everything else goes to the side. All
the people that say they can carry their pub games the hardest all the time, this is their chance to prove it.
Absolutely.
They've got to show that they can carry anybody.
Now, this is week number 2. We already had week number 1 gone and going, and unfortunately wasn't there for that, but you were able to make it down. What were the notable matches out of yesterday for you? Yeah,
so last week we had T-Governor versus Die Wales. Obviously, I think the main matchup in this one was Adzantic on the position 2 on T-Governor's team, and then Ryan playing the position 1 for Die Wales' team.
Yeah.
And I thought T-Governor's team did a really good job, especially T individually himself, in just directing his team, making sure they were all on the same page, because you could see, especially in the team fights, whenever big fights broke out, they tended to all make sure they were focusing the same targets and focusing down, knowing exactly what they wanted to do.
Yeah, T-Gov's leadership playing a huge role. Of course, Adzantic is a fantastic player, the highest MMR player in this tournament, along with a TI level coach. They were a pretty unstoppable combo, and unfortunately Ryan couldn't put together with his team in order to stop the onslaught. But of course, we did have another series yesterday as well. I believe this one was much closer, wasn't it?
Yeah, so we had Tree's team versus Patrolalia. I can't remember what the name was, but yeah, they played up against each other, and in this game 1 especially, it was very tense. The teams weren't really fighting for long portions of this game, but it kind of just broke out, and then teams just started running at each other over and over again. And we had some really interesting picks. We had the Tinker, we had the CK. DNC played really well on his offline Abbott in this game, as well as the Tinker Hunter role. And so interesting item builds. And yeah, in this game 4, the lanes were a little bit more of a stomp. It's quite one-sided, but then they really struggled to go high ground on the Radiant side. And they got there in the end, but the game went on for a lot longer than it should have. Maybe because they don't know each other too well. Maybe their teamwork wasn't there. But they got the win eventually, and that's all that matters in the end.
Yeah, exactly. That's the most important thing. So regarding from all the games yesterday, are there any players which stood out for you, particularly when we look through these position 1 and position 2s?
I think Ryan being bottom of position 1's a bit of a shock to us, right? I mean, the highest MMR carry player, but again, it is only 1 week in. How much of that is reliable? We'll have to see where he is at the end of the 4 weeks.
Yeah, got to consider the circumstances. Meanwhile, Adzantic, he is leading the position 2. No big surprise. Will he continue this momentum? It's hard to see anybody beating him, especially when you're in such a commanding position like that mid laner. Adzantic is definitely going to be one to watch, and I'm quite sure we'll be seeing in the finals if there's no big upsets. And we can have a look at the position 3s and position 4 nows as well. So things are a little bit more even. A couple of lower down, a couple of higher ups, but more or less we're all around the same mark with these. But yeah, again, the highest rated position 3 player, at least in terms of MMR, is at the bottom once more.
Yeah, I think this position 3 is the hardest one to call, in terms of who's going to be able to get through to the LAN finals, because like you say, they all are pretty close. Position 4 is the one I want to focus on, though, because I feel like Barg's done a really good job last week winning both his games. Wasn't even officially supposed to be playing in the tournament before it started, but, managed to come in because somebody else dropped out. Magic Turtle being down at the bottom, he's not going to be too happy with that. Expecting better things from him this week.
Yep, and then finally we have our position 5 standings, where T-Gov is on top, of course, the ex-coach of Team Chaos, and then we have, this is a name you struggle with, isn't it?
Patrolalia.
Yeah, Patrolalia, is that it?
I have no idea.
Patrolalia.
I'll try and send a message. We'll find out. It's fine. But yeah, in terms of this one, I think the biggest one to me is T-Governor versus Dai, because these two guys have known each other for a long time. I was a little bit disappointed by Dai's performance last week. I thought the drafting was a little bit iffy, but I've seen him do so much better before. I know he has it in his locker, so I'm hoping to see better things from him this week.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, of course, if you are looking to get involved with the league, then you should definitely be heading down to the finals up in Manchester on the 23rd of November. Ticket sales are below here, so get online, come to the tournament, because it's going to be a lot of fun. We're both going to be there. There's going to be a lot of fun, and just basically UK Dota doing what we do best.
Drinking?
And, well, perhaps. Obviously, you should follow us on all social media as well. Follow ESL UK, because that is where all the information is going to be spread. Not just about this league, but about everything else we're going to be running. Of course, there's a resurgence of the Tier 2, especially with the announcement at ESL as well. So all this stuff coming down, you want to get involved. Now is the money train for the Tier 2 scenes. We're coming back, and UK Dota is going to be at the forefront of the resurgence, I'm sure. And of course, if you tweet out with a hashtag ESL Prem, then we might show you on stream. We might have a little look at what you've said to us, if it's inspiring enough or insightful enough
or flaming enough
or really funny. Right, let's have a look at some of the teams that are going to be playing this week. Of course, the team names are kind of, well, they're not randomized, they're set beforehand, but we've got Thunderhide Riders, Elemental Spirits, Crimson Guard, and the Aghanim's Heroes. So there are some really, really kind of equal stacks in this one. There's also Aghanim's Heroes looking a little bit strong as well, aren't they?
Yeah, Aghanim's Heroes definitely with Ryman and Zantic on the same team. You kind of expect them, that playing from that core role, the two strongest players on each, that they should be just be able to not walk over games necessarily, but put themselves in a really commanding position. Because as all good Dota players know, that the core players tend to be the ones that can have the most influence on a game. That's why Valve recently tried to sort out the whole system as well with balancing teams. So anything can happen, though. I wouldn't say it's necessarily just a free win for them. They still have to work hard for it.
They absolutely do, yeah. And when emotions are on the line as well, anything can happen just to knock a team out of kill. So these people aren't used to playing with each other. So if you can find your synergy, if you can find your team within these randomized teams, then you can come out ahead. That's a really important thing to mention here. I think the other games are looking pretty equal as well. In fact, we can have a look at the games which are going to be coming up today, as we have the Thunderhide Riders versus the Crimson Guards, and then the Elemental Spirits versus the Aghanim's Heroes. And we can have a look at who are on these teams, I believe, as well, at least for the first matchup. As there we go. My Ferry, you want to talk through these guys?
Yeah, I'm really excited for this game, because I feel like in terms of balance between teams, this is almost about as close as it's going to get. The position ones are pretty similar on both teams. The position 2s are similar. The only real difference here is like the position 3s to 4s. Like the MMRs have basically switched around almost, it feels like. So it'll be interesting to see how much of a difference that makes, because the position 3-4 role is where we tend to see a lot of playmaking potential come from. I know Barg played Tiny last week, as he might play that again, and that hero has potential to just roam around the map, cause a lot of chaos. But yeah, I mean, for me, I said it before, I really want to see Dai do better this week. I know he's got it in his locker. Teams have first phase banned his Warlock at LAN before, which is like unheard of. So yeah, he should be doing better, I think.
Yeah, meanwhile in Crimson Guard we've got Moist, Modebore, Sky, Icky, and Patrolea once again playing up on that POS 5. And, again, these guys, they're so evenly matched when you look at the position matchups. Position 1, 5-5-5-5 versus 5-3-8-2. Position 2, there's about 141 difference between those two. Barely anything between the... If you actually look at the position 3 and the position 4s, and then the opposite position 3 and position 4s, then it's still really even. I mean, and you said Barg as well, Barty G. He maybe is a little bit under what he could play at this MMR, right?
Yeah, I think his MMR could be slightly higher as well if he really went for it. He's a good player. I think a lot of this week, in this matchup especially, is going to come down to how much they can play on the same page, what their communication's like, how well they play together as a team, because, like we've said, it is so close in terms of individual skill level that this whole team ethic thing is going to come shine through more in that series, I think.
Yeah, and only 73 MMR difference between the two captains. So, and I think captain is probably the most important role in this tournament. I mean, when you've got so much chaos going on, you need someone who can cut through the noise and just be in charge. Do you think that's true?
Yeah, I agree, but I don't think necessarily the position 5 in this tournament has to be the one that's making the shot call. It tends to be in Dota games that early on, the position 5 is the one that makes a lot of the calls, but as games progress, like, say if an offlaner picks up a blink, you then want them to be the ones that are shot calling, controlling the game more. And then when it gets to late game, say you've got like a a six-slotted anti-mage or something. You want him to be the one that's saying when he feels like he's comfortable to fight, what he's waiting for, and etc. So I think there's a responsibility on all of them in a way, just to make sure that they are happy talking and being comfortable with each other.
Yeah, and I feel like, as well, with all the chaos going on, it's a really good opportunity for these very impressive players to actually show what they can do. You know, if the games do devolve into chaos, which isn't unlikely.
That doesn't sound like UK Dota at all.
No, very well organized, very tame and calm and well organized. No, absolutely not. If when it hits a fan, if you can just get up and put your head and shoulders above the rest, keep your calm, play well, and really stand out, then I think that's where people are going to certainly appreciate the most. And of course, you're going to look amazing if you're just destroying everybody whilst everyone else is fighting down in the dumps. You're going to look fantastic. But what do you think you're going to see in terms of comparisons from week number 1 compared to week number 2?
You would expect them to be better in terms of communicating with each other, but because they're completely different teams, are you starting again on step 1 with each other? You know, do certain players play with each other outside of the tournament? That's always going to help. We talked last week, me and Rob, how T-Governor and Xantic like to dual queue a lot. So when they got put in the team together for the first week, I was like, they're probably not going to lose because they understand each other so well. I think I haven't looked at the teams to see if any of them know each other this week already, but I'd be very surprised if there wasn't at least a couple of players that are a very good understanding with each other.
Yeah, there's links all over the place. Now, we are waiting for one player to join the lobby, but I mean, we've still got plenty of talk. Yeah, whoever you are, if you're watching this stream,
give us the name.
You get it.
Give us the name. We want to shame them.
Yeah, absolutely. Moatbore it is. God damn you, Moatbore. Honestly, we're coming for you. Better step it up next game. But looking forward to this game as well, and comparisons to last week, I think it's a great point you mentioned, you know, about how everything's being reset. Maybe this is a skill which the players will learn to develop. Maybe might even take them as long as week 3, week 4, to really kind of step in and be like, all right, you know, we know what happened week 1 and week 2, where things are a little bit messy. You know, no one really understands what's going on. We don't really know playing each other very well, but maybe we'll see some captains kind of developing on week 3, week 4, or maybe even this week as well, as they try to cut through the noise and make sure their team can take a decisive victory.
I think it's, I don't know all the players individually, but there might be some players that are less comfortable playing as part of a 5-stack as well, because, you know, some players might like to solo queue a lot. All that affect their communication in general as well. So you talk about maybe it getting to week 3 or so before they really shine. I think communication in general in Dota is a thing that you acquire over a long period of time, right? So there might be certain players that struggle to, you know, maybe respond to calls in a certain way because maybe they think they're stuck in their own way of playing.
Yeah.
So, you know, I know some players really find it difficult to accept another person's point of view and how the game should be played. So, like, your position 5 picks you something, and you're like, oh, I want to play this way, and he says, well, actually, for this, I really need you to play it this way instead. If they're not on the same page, it might really affect the performance as a team overall. And I'm just hoping there's certain players that are, you know, quite happy to just be flexible and all the time instead of doing their own thing.
Alrighty, well, we do now have the draft underway. This is going to be Crimson Guard versus Thunderhide Riders, as Patrolea will be drafting for the Crimson Guard, and Thunderhide Riders, we're going to see Die up in that POS 5. Oh no, they've got the wrong flag, Mo.
Oh no. Oh, Crimson Guard's right. So
yeah.
50-50. It's the same as a lot of UK Dota, isn't it? So it's fine. Don't worry about it. Okay, so in terms of hero picks, there was a few hero spammers. I know when I was doing my research, I talked about it last week before the tournament, that I'd be very surprised if the heroes didn't get banned out. And I know straight away, looking at this one, not necessarily a hero spammer, but Blase96 on this Sanking last week pulled off some amazing stunts. They didn't win the game overall, but he looked really strong.
Do you think there's any likelihood of the position 5 just saying, you know, well, the drafter just saying, you know what, guys, we're going to go for a strat. You know, we're going to grab, see if we can get, you know, Lycan, Chen, see if we can push down that. Is that something anybody's going to be brave enough to attempt?
I think you can, but the problem with strats is that, in general, as a 5-man unit, you have to know the strat. All of you need to know how to play the strat, right? So I would be very surprised if these teams have practiced a lot in the week, because I know some of them, for example, have been to ESL Hamburg and whatnot as well, so they haven't been able to play. I think a lot of it comes down to more about, like, feel, like what you're confident with. Make sure you give yourself a good chance of winning the game, because if you're playing something that you're not comfortable with, how can you expect to, you know, really progress in the game?
Yeah, it's a great point indeed. It's just going to be trying to play in the best Dota and also playing to people's strengths. You know, if you haven't practiced that specific combination of heroes, and then you say, right, we're going to do this combination of heroes, you know, you're going to have people all over the place doing things they're not used to doing. Do you know if anybody's gone together beforehand and maybe scrimmed or done some 5-man queuing before the games? Is that come out? Do we know?
I'm not 100% sure, but I will check after to check in people's individual profiles to see if there's some secret practicing going on.
Shenanigans going on. I certainly would.
So in terms of bans here again, Sky's a big Pangolier spammer, so not surprised to see that one banned out. Icky played Tree last week as well, and he was. I feel like Tree's one of those heroes that it's not amazing, but it's really annoying to play against. So if you're a captain, you're coming into the draft, you're like, this hero is so annoying. I just don't want to play against it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not just the annoying in the fact that he's like, you know, got a really annoying skill set basically, but he gives you so much information, which when you have a team which is trying to work together, I think if you can get loads of information between bouncing around your team, bouncing around those comms, which just helps you play better, it helps you play a more concise Dota. With the information, you have to make less guesses, which means you have to make less kind of expectation on your team's natural reactions and just accept what's going to be happening, you know, with the information you have.
Yeah. I'm really hoping to see... we talked about this as the series of the two today that I feel like is going to be the closest. Can they... You talked about strats before, you know...
I did.
There's... Patrolea and Dai, this week. You know, Dai's had this LAN experience before at Epic LAN. He's played in these big 5-man teams. He will understand how to win the game. I don't really know too much about Patrolea, but I feel like last week their team didn't really like make plays around the map enough. So maybe they weren't confident enough in their shot calling ability. I don't know whether it was him individually or, you know, as a team as a whole. So I'm hoping to see more from them this week in terms of map movement and making ganks happen around.
Yeah, there's always a risk that everybody's just playing their own game and not everyone's on the same stage. That's often when you see teams not really making movements around the map. It feels like they're not trying to get anything done, and that is when people are playing their own game and not really being told how to move as 5. So again, something I expect to see less of as we get through the week.
Can I just say, I'm really happy there's an Alchemist ban, by the way, because I really hate that hero.
I was about to make the same point. I was like, if someone just first picks Alchemist, I am leaving. Alright, we got the Abaddon, we got the Void. These are very unmeta picks. Nothing really crazy coming out just yet.
Yeah, I mean, the picks so far obviously very much based on the pro scene. It feels like these guys are high MMR. They understand what's strong and what's not. Yep. And Abaddon and Void, you know, two of the heroes that got featured the most at Hamburg. No, it's not surprised to see them picked up very early on. I'm hoping for some kind of hero here that helps stabilize their lane against the Abaddon. I think you have to assume most of the time that it's going to be a position 3, and I know Sky does like to run it in the offlane.
But I'm already thinking about this Tinker from Solidon. You know, we know he plays it. Oh, they go for the Lina instead. But going back to that Tinker pick, I think it could still be a threat later on the draft, which Crimson Guard might want to consider banning out, because, you know, he's ranked 24 on that hero. He certainly knows his Tinker very well, and Tinker Void is pretty damn good. Yeah,
at the same time though, like, when we were watching his Tinker last week, Tinker's that kind of hero where you make one mistake and the game's over, right? So I feel like it's not that strong of a hero in general either, so I think you have to be really consistently good on that hero to make it work. Here's the Icky Mirana, played this once last week, was very good at it. Not too surprised to see another generally strong hero picked up.
Do like to see some big Mirana picks coming out.
Lina as well, obviously that hero that can swap between the position 2, position 4. We saw them someone play it as a position 5 last week as well. I can't remember who it was, but not too successful. It felt like a little bit underwhelming, so I would like to see it on that 4 role.
A nice big flex pick coming out from the Thunder.
Big flex. Riders.
Big flex. Would you ride a Thunderhide if you could?
If I could?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure, why not?
Feel like it would be a risk.
Yeah, I know, but you have to do everything once, right?
Might be the last thing you do, though.
At least it would be fun way to go out.
True. Not wrong. I always find it weird. I remember the first time I came across the Thunderhide camp in Dota, and I was like, why these things got lasers coming out of their nostrils? Like, surely they should just come over and hit me with their horns, you know?
Does make sense.
Evolutionary, what's the point in a horn if you've got, like, lasers? Anyway, Omni-Light's been banned out. Another save. Save is the most important thing in Dota right now, and you cannot convince me otherwise. Being sticky on the map is so good for your team. You're just able to put out so much more pressure and everything like that.
I don't know if it's save as much as it is the purge from like the press the attack on Legion, the shield, and the but there's some heroes that saves without the purge. Like Dazzle, for example, has just like disappeared completely, really, unless it's on a core role.
The lad's playing it a bit, but yeah.
Yeah, like the support role, Dazzle has kind of like disappeared a lot. I feel like the top teams, especially in Dota in general, are very good at utilizing those purges, and like the last few patches, it really, like you say, it has really started to come through.
Yeah. Especially versus the Void as well. I mean, you've already got the Abaddon, which is one target where it's like, well, I guess I can chrono you, but I really do not want to. But then again, if you're not in the chrono, then you're just going to save whoever's chronoed, so it's a very awkward situation. Just occurred to me as well, we might see an Abaddon Axe this game if he is on that off lane. I honestly wouldn't mind seeing them rush it with a Void in the game. So you can just pop that ulti and that guy's not dying in chrono anymore. Maybe not rush it, maybe on your auras first, but... Yeah,
I think like the Pipe on a load of offlaners at the moment is super popular. You know, Pipe, Solar Creps, just getting these nice utility items before you go for these almost like luxury items, it feels like. The Pipe's almost essential for most games now, having that magic resistance available. Very important in these big team fights. I love the Shadow Demon ban as well. You know, how many times, I'm sure everybody's had this situation. They're in a game, enemy picks Shadow Demon Mirana, you're like, well, I'm gonna die without having a chance to make a play against it at some point in this game.
Yeah, it's inevitable, unfortunately, but...
I like the Omni and the Legion ban though. I feel like when you play Mirana, and you can land like a really long arrow, and then all of a sudden it gets purged off straight away by like an Abaddon shield, press the you're like, well, okay, well, my hero feels really sad to play now.
Yeah, and they've taken the Abaddon for themselves, banned out both the Omni and the Legions. They really do not want the Thunderhides to have anything to stop this stun. Is there anything left?
In terms of purges, there's like
Oracle, but, you know, dropping your ulti down for someone gets hit by an arrow.
Yeah, it's probably not the way you want to be using that one, it has to be said. So, back to your point though, that the Tinker is still in the pool, so Crimson Guard, I think they have to be wary about that. We saw last week DNC played the Abaddon off lane, and he went for like this Blink Radiance Nullifier build against the Tinker. It actually worked really well. So we might see, as long as it is this position 3 Abaddon, if that Tinker does come out, we'll probably go for something similar.
I can also see them just wanting to wait until the end of the draft on Thunderhide Riders to see if they can get away with a last pick Tinker as well when they don't bring any catch. Mirana obviously still quite good against Tinker, but not really the full engage you want. She also runs the risk of getting caught inside machines. Admittedly, she's got multiple leap charges, but she's still not like a very tanky hero, so she does find herself in the trees trying to chase down a Tinker, and then out of leap charges, and you're like, oh god. Yeah, Tinker's
a very particular hero, isn't it? That you need a certain type of reach to be able to get on top of it, which is why people go for things. Very vision-based. Like things like the Storm is always very good. I would like to see some kind of... I talked about them needing like a lane secure hero here, by the way. I think something like Undying might be really nice against this Abaddon, trying to just push him out the lane. Grimstroke.
Double Laguna, baby, let's go.
That sounds pretty fun.
Yeah, I'm into it.
I don't mind it. I think their lane, the Void Grimstroke, is a really strong lane, so in general there is kill potential. You can put Inkswell on somebody, jump in on the Void. The Mirana should never be under threat because of those leap charges, but it has happened before that heroes can get run down very easily.
One thing this does do is it puts the Lina either on the 5... Well, I guess you can go for 5 Grimstroke, actually, that's not unheard of. Yeah, it doesn't lock down the Lina too much.
I think you go for the Lina 4 and the Grimstroke 5 in this situation. Yeah, I really hope they pick up another melee core that works with the Inkswell. I feel like that's where a lot of Grimstroke's power comes from at the moment. We saw at ESL Hamburg, a lot of the teams that pick this Grimstroke, I know F&G for Gambit especially, you have to run these melee cores that work well with it. You would assume they would go for their position 5 here as well on Crimson, unless they don't want to show what position the Abaddon's playing.
Yeah, Abaddon 5 is always... It's good, but...
It feels like...
There's a lot of 5s which do a lot right now, and you don't really want to cut those out of the draft.
Yeah, it feels like a hero that... It's really good in certain situations, like against Batrider, for example.
Yeah.
But not all the time. I know Solo likes to play it for VP, but... Bane. Yeah, okay, so there...
Alright, Mirana Bane.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So, we talked about the Shadow Demon being taken out. Here's the
other Shadow Demon.
The replacement. The thing is, at least with Bane, you can take off the sleep, right? So you can help your hero move so they don't get hit by the arrow. I feel it's like, with Shadow Demon, there's like a... You're gonna die. But at least with Bane, there is a chance to outplay.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
So I'm expecting to see an offlaner picked up here, some kind of melee offlaner. I mean, Centaur's okay, I think.
Is there any purges left? Or are they just kind of accepting? Because now you got Bane as well. It would be fantastic, but maybe you do go. You can't squeeze Oracle into this draft really, unless you want to put the lean into the to the 2, which
I think you just have to accept that somebody's going to get gripped. Like, a lot of the purges have been taken out, like you say, the defensive saving, the Shadow Demon as well. I think they have to just focus on their own game, play around this Grimstroke Ink Swell, play around the Chrono whenever it's available, and just blow people up with Laguna Blades. You know, especially with the double Laguna.
The double blammy.
I would like to see something like a Centaur, or like some kind of just raw initiation hero, like an Axe maybe as well might be okay here. Because I feel like I hate these kind of games where you're very reliant on your Void to be one that's going in all the time, starting fights. Like, you want some other source of initiation. It's like when you play Mag as well, and you're like the only initiation on your team, and you're going, guys, I really don't want to start the fight.
Even Enigma, right? Sometimes people just go, we've got an Enigma, we've got our Initiator, that's fine. Those heroes do not want to initiate. They want to counter-initiate, or they want to get the jump on smoke when you have vision over the enemy team, with at least 2 or 3 of them showing in the same spot, which is incredibly unlikely. So, yeah, you always got to take that into account, but it's something which could be overlooked here. So, only 10 seconds left, and both teams just burning through their reserve time, 24 seconds and 7 seconds respectively left. We're really clocking down the timer here. Thunderhide, they have decided it's going to be the Zeus.
Interesting, okay. So, which one of these is going to be the 4 and which one is going to be the mid in terms of Lina and Zeus? Because support Zeus isn't massively popular at the moment, but it is a thing. I would assume it's going to be Lina 4, but it's a little bit flexible. And of course, Void Zeus, really good combo. One of these heroes
Nimbus,
not even just the Nimbus, but he can dish so much damage into the Chrono in general, right? You know, we tend to see things like OD picked with the Void because they have the chance to put loads of damage in. But yeah,
also, Veil Rush Zeus sounds amazing this game with your Lina and Grimstroke. So much magic damage. Ooh. I like this pickup a lot though from Crimson Guard.
Yeah, we saw a CK last week as well. The hero was okay. It went really late that game as well though, so I feel this game in particular, it gives them more lockdown for the Void, which is nice. It's this hero kind of hero that can just run at the Zeus. I feel like a lot of the problems that comes with Zeus playing against it is being able to get on top of him, right? And if you look at their team at the moment, they don't really have the best kind of jump. Like, Abaddon's not like initiating off laner, Mirana's not really like an initiating 4, you kind of reliant on a setup to land the arrow. At least with the CK, if they feel the need, they can buy a blink and just jump in and try and focus the Zeus down quickly.
Yes, exactly. It's a great hero for catching out backlines if you need it to be. Very adaptable. Also, they've now got 3 mounted heroes on the side of Crimson Guard, so
a free win.
Yeah, free win basically. And Bane is kind of, well, he's one of these Centaur heroes, right?
Yeah, I don't really know what's going on with Bane, to be honest. That's I really like that hero, but we hardly ever see it anymore. Like, people just prefer the lane heroes like the Undying, for example, that just is so good at bullying out these strength heroes that are very, very popular at the moment.
Yeah. So it looks like Thunderhide, they need themselves an offlane, and they ban out the Magnus, which I feel would have been picked up by now, but interestingly, didn't want to take it.
So you assume, let's say you're assuming they're going to go for their mid hero here, unless it's some crazy mid Mirana, which I very much doubt it.
Yeah.
They kind of lack a little bit of tower push on their team, which is a bit of a worry for me.
They like tower push and initiation, that's why I'm thinking the DK might be nice, but they go for the Conquer.
Well, how's this hero made it all the way through? You know, one of the more popular heroes at the moment. It's a really good Conquer game as well. I feel like it's one of these games where you can go like double Bracer Radiance, and then all of a sudden, you know, you come out of the jungle with like 15 minutes with this Radiance, you're like, guys, I'm gonna go, let's go and fight.
Yeah. So, final pickup for the Thunderhide Riders now. This offlaner, it needs to be big, it needs to initiate. I'm thinking Pangolier.
Pangalier's banned.
Is it actually? Goodness gracious.
That's okay. I don't mind that. I think that's good. We talked about them needing the second source of initiation. It lanes well against the CK as well. Has that potential in games where people don't know each other. It has that potential where you can just take over the game by yourself as well, in a sense. And we talked today about how the difference might be between the position 3s and the position 4s. If Blase can play well on this Tiny this game, I think he's really going to shine through.
Yeah, it's a great opportunity for this Tiny to do very well. But offlane Tiny sometimes does get shut down a little bit, and we're looking into this kind of Abaddon CK lane, which is going to be putting out a lot of... Oh, actually, is it Abaddon on the off lane?
Bane CK.
Yeah, it's Bane CK. Even then, that sounds scary. And the Mirana could rotate in as well, so...
Yeah, it is good, but at the same time, as long as you've got this Grimstroke behind you, you have the aggressive potential, right? Like the Avalanche toss into the Inkswell stun, that's a lot of burst damage. I think level 2 on these two heroes in the offlane is going to be really important. If they reach level 2 before their opponent's first, we might see some really early action.
Alrighty, let's get into it. Game number 1 out of today's 4 games here at the ESL Skirmish powered by Intel as we get into it. And look at this lovely courier sitting down over here. We comparing couriers now. This little guy hanging out, and on the other side we got a chicken. I didn't even know they had a chicken dragon in the game. Sick. It's got a snake tail as well.
I don't like that courier. I don't like that one. No, it's just a bit weird.
Too many animals in one.
Too spooky for me, even at Halloween.
Alright, well, we've got a smoke up from the Bane, leading the charge. Wants to see if he can maybe get a Nightmare play into an arrow down here, because the Mirana is hanging out. Actually, it's going to get his smoke pop. The Zeus has no idea. They're pinging it. They're pinging it. They're going to make a play here. The Nightmare comes down. Where is your arrow? Nope, gets taken off. But they haven't even fired off the arrow yet, so maybe a little bit of miscommunication. Not quite sure.
Nice
Here
arrow.
it comes. Here it comes. Oh, Party G. Just about dodging it down. Now the CK's the one with the stun on his head. Tiny backs himself up, and both teams will disengage from one another, resulting in no result, in fact.
That was really odd. It looked like they smoked really early there, because by the time they got to the high ground, it was like it had run out.
Yeah.
I think in that kind of sense, you have to make sure you wait to use your smoke so that you still have some duration left when you get to their high ground. And they really needed to wait for the Mirana to catch up there, because Icky was so far behind them.
Yeah, not sure what he was doing. Icky, busy with all the things, petting his cat. Meanwhile, Tifty will be able to come in. This guy's coming over. Might try for this one, but nope. Void too quick. And that's going to be 2 for 2 on the runes. Nothing exciting happening thus far.
Yeah, it feels like, especially with the amount of heroes that went bot on the Radiant side, that they should have been able to pick up 2 runes done there. And they do, but I feel like it's a massive advantage for the Zeus in the mid lane in terms of mid blocking, because he didn't even go to any of the runes.
Oh, did he just go straight back after the after that little engagement? Yeah, so now he's got the creeps under his tower. He'll be happy with that, able to last hit quite handily with that Chain Lightning.
Yeah, this is pretty nice for the Kunkka though. Obviously the lane pushed in so much in the first wave that the Zeus had to last it under his tower a little bit. It means he only picked up 1 out of 4. Bit of a worry for him.
We have Buzz Bottom taking place in the bottom lane. Yeah, that's going to be the Mirana coming in. So they did actually choose to try laning up a little bit, and then I imagine that was the Nightmare into the arrow, which resulted in that first blood there.
Yeah, I mean Lena's one of these heroes that if you catch her out of position with that kind of combo, she will fall. You know, it's not a particularly tanky hero.
Yeah, now Moist taking a little bit of damage as well, just from the 2 heroes. Let's strike array Avalanche. There is a lot of aggressive potential in his bottom lane, as you were saying before, but now the Mirana moves up top, looking for some action up there, perhaps.
Yeah, I really like that by Yiki. Just use this combo that you picked to secure the first blood before you move, put the pressure on the Void.
Yeah, to a degree, they maybe should have expected this on the Thunderhide Riders. You haven't seen that Mirana go to any other lane yet. You saw her there earlier when they all rotated in, but...
Yeah, but they didn't put a ward down. I don't know if you noticed, Spark, when he came back to the lane after he died, he put that ward down to try and see the rotations from the Mirana if he stayed bot. But yeah, unfortunately for him, the Mirana's now TP top, so that ward not really going to do too much.
No, maybe a rotation from mid, but to be honest, Kunkka does rotate early, so could still find some value in it. Meanwhile, up in the top lane, it looks like they're kind of skirmishing up there. Manages to get the range creep deny. Up at the top lane, they're fighting up for the rune. Die dropping a little bit low here. Everybody moved away from the lane though, just to try and fight it up here. As usually the supports just get into a tangle with one another, and then they kind of force the attention over from their laners. Die's still on the run though. He's got 1 creep follow him. Icky, can he land this arrow? He's level 1. He's gonna go for it, and Die dodged it out. I like what he did there. He waited until he was behind, and actually with the Duke, it's going to cost Die quite a lot of health here. Turns around for the last hit, and I think he's kind of just accepted his fate, though he's going to try and Duke through the trees. Popping down the Inks. Well, can he do this? Oh, he gets a stun out onto the Mirana with the tower attacking as well. Die moving up north, turns around, he's got the kill. Icky, no! Oh, that feels bad, but Die did just outplay him and then some.
Well, down in the bot lane, though, the CK managed to pick up a kill. Obviously, you can see Bane getting very low from the engagement, but I think it was Lena that went down at the same time as the Mirana. Man,
a pretty action-packed game so far. 3 kills in 3 minutes. considerably faster than what we were
I
seeing at Hamburg, and yeah.
I like this rotation.
Actually, he doesn't have much health, but decides he doesn't need it. They're just looking for the Zeus. Zeus is like just completely cornered in the trees here by these heroes. Patrolea is losing quite a lot of health just to the creeps though. Solidus should be able to turn around and grab this kill, so he gets something for his efforts, but still, that is the Zeus going down. Now Bug trying to make something happen here, throws out Light Strike Ray. Meanwhile, up in the top lane, ooh, Void gonna get himself out okay.
Yeah, where were the TPs there? I feel like Bark had a TP on the Lina. I feel like he could have been there quicker just to try and help his Zeus out there. But the good thing for the Zeus is that he picks up the experience there from that kill on the Bane before he dies himself.
Gotta say, I'm happy with the standard that's coming out from both teams right now as they're making some really smart rotations across the map. No one really hands-off keyboard style of gameplay. Everyone's really looking to try and win this one, it feels like.
Yeah, it feels like sometimes there's a difference in the games we watch between teams that want to win and teams that don't want to lose.
Yeah.
Oh, Mode Boar.
Mode Boar getting really low. Forced to pop the salve. Knows it's going to go down to the Chain Lightning. Oh, Zeus with a stutter there. Maybe cost him an extra tower hit, but not a big deal.
I think if you're Mode Boar here, I mean, you just brought the salve in on the courier. Do you go back to base? It looks like he is, but this Zeus is going to be able to freely just finish up the gold for his bottle here. And I'd really like to see the Radiant supports focus on controlling these active runes. Zeus is one of the more rune-dependent mid-heroes. If they can make sure that they control those active runes, the Zeus's usage in this laning stage is going to be, quashed a little bit.
Consider yourself denied.
So coming off those 5-minute runes, they're actually going for a play down here at bottom. They're just unloading everything onto the Bane, and with that Invis rune, that does result in a free kill. But Tiny taking a couple of hits in response. He's able to get out okay. Meanwhile, stun out from Bug on to the CK. Should come over for the bounties now. Guys, CK, is he going to do it? He's thinking about it now because he's realizing that, no, wait a minute, are they not going for this? And he's cut his way through the tree. Lena's making her way over as well, but sees CK and says, well, my bad.
Yeah,
well, up at the top lane, they go for the jump onto the Grimstroke. Grimstroke will explode with that Aphotic Shield. Meanwhile, Tipty has to get himself out, but he's got the Time Walk, so he is okay.
Yeah, you do have to be careful with your positioning down in the bot lane as the Bane, though, because we talked about this burst combination from the Tiny Lina. It is there. You have to be so careful. If you get caught out, you're going to drop from 100 to 0 really quickly.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That is the worry of the burst. And he's like, oh, cool. Free bit.
He doesn't want it, man. He's just letting it age like a fine wine.
Someone is not looking at their game. Someone's looking at the... oh, you wanted to get the arrow cooldown? Really?
Worth.
Really, Icky?
Very worth. To be fair, he might be just waiting to buy a bottle for himself so he can get the mana regen.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. There you go. Bottle balls might be well up on top. The Abaddon's having issues. Abaddon's left so long on his own, has actually died to the combos. Dies respawned, comes straight back up here. Icky trying to make reparations here, but struggling to do so. Meanwhile, the Bane will go down in the bottom lane. And Icky forced to back out, but of course that full bottle going to mean that he's all right.
Yeah, I just want to go back to that play. If people didn't know what had just happened there, he waited to pick up the rune until he had a bottle, so he could use all the regen he got from purchasing it first, before then going back and filling it up again. It's just an efficiency play.
Yeah, absolutely. I flamed incorrectly. How dare I doubt the masters of UK Dota.
Yeah, normally we doubt ourselves, don't we, when we criticize people in pro games?
Yeah,
we're, like,
we're just like going all in. Let's mess them up.
Really good laning stage here for the Radiant so far. Oh, up in top as well. Icky manages to get a kill on the Zeus. Oh, in mid lane, sorry.
In on mid, yeah, that is that arrow coming into play. That bottle just unlocking so much roaming potential on the Mirana.
Yeah, but the thing is, with this Kunkka Mirana, we see this as an off-lane combo a lot of the time where you get the X. It's such an easy setup for the arrow to come in. And especially immobile heroes like Zeus, there's not really too much they can do against that.
And bottom, they're just trying to put as much pressure on CK, but CK is such a hard hero to pressure, though. With this passive as hits, it just gives you a crit, which you heal off every, like, 5 seconds or something. It's pretty insane.
Yeah, I was interested to see if he'd go Midas this game. He's actually got Tread's Armlet queued up, so going for something a little bit less greedy might indicate what kind of timing they want to go for on this Radiant side.
Yeah, I like this as well. I think this is a nice, aggressive way to play the game. Admittedly, it's going to cut off the blood flow to your team if you're roaming around the map too. Then you're going to fall behind this Void, which is a risk.
The thing is, with the CK Midas as well, he benefits so much from the attack speed.
Attack speed, yeah. Although Bane could be going down here, turns around for the life steal, and now, oh my god, he gets him in the trees, but the light strike array, it doesn't do anything. He's trapped and dead to rights. The Tiny getting beaten down by Moist on the CK with a beautiful trap with his phantasms there.
What are the chances of that?
I have no idea. I've never seen that before. That was pretty damn nice.
Definitely on purpose as well.
Yeah, dude, this is UK Dota. I mean, you tried downing them earlier. This is what happens.
So yeah, CK isn't a very random hero, is it? It's always very precise on all his skills. Modeboard doing really well in this mid lane though on the Kunkka. The thing is, it gets to this point in the lane now on the Zeus where if you get caught with an X, you're probably just dead. Oh, Icky throwing out the arrow before they get the sleep.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that one at all, but, you know, they've got sleep into boat, whatever. They'll be missing this little bit of damage, but it's a Zeus after all. They can beat him in, no problems. Head equals split.
Yeah, and you talked about the sustainability on the CK in lane. It's the same for the Abaddon up at top. Like, how do they put pressure on him? He's gone for this 1-2-2 skill build, so he's even able to put pressure on the Void in a 1 versus 2 situation.
Yeah, it doesn't feel good to be this Void right now.
Going for that Vlad first on Sky on the Abaddon. Abaddon. Is it Abaddon or Abaddon?
I like to say Abaddon. You know, it just flows a little bit nicer for me. Sky is now being run out, but of course he's got the borrowed time, so no big threats right now. Gonna turn around, just pop the shield, chase them back. There is nothing they could do to this man, and oh my god, that was a lot of damage being taken by Dai. In fact, Sky
nice
turns around, but yeah, very skillful bash from 50. They will be able to force it back Sky for the time being, but you know, he just popped his bottom lane. They've caught an arrow. They've got a kill. That is Blaz going down.
Yeah, really well played. I mean, Icky is a very big Mirana player. He likes this hero. He's been playing it a lot, especially in pubs with it being so popular at the moment as well, right? It's just a strong hero, especially when Ring of Bacillus was available from the side shop in terms of the Ring of Protection.
Yeah. So I realised that Blaze has an accented E on the end of his name. Does that mean he's blasé?
It's blasé.
Blasé. Yeah, that's a word, isn't it? Blasé. It means something.
Sky manages to get the rune here, actually. So
they just chrono his ass. Get over here, kid. Modeboard runs in with Ace, takes one hit and gets himself out again. But a sick deny comes out. Now the two-man. Hello, Modeboard turning up to this fight with the haste rune. Never mind. Gets himself two. Going for the Zeus as well. Zeus, though, he's actually out of mana, and he's just going to get run down a little bit here. I mean, the haste rune will run off and allow Zeus to escape in theory. And now comes these Tiny as well to maybe turn this one around. X marks with the torrent, though. Zoilen can't do much about that. Icky coming in as well. That's going to be kill on to the Zeus. Modeboard trying to juke it around the trees, but Dai says no and carries him out with that stroke of fate. And now Icky's just going to clear himself out of danger. Gets himself down the cliff to safety. And that is going to be, well, still a really profitable series of events for the Kunkka there as he gets himself 3 kills and then dies.
Yeah, especially because they used the chrono though as well on the Void. You know, not being able to kill off Sky because he denied himself is such a big play there.
Absolutely.
You know, turns around, gets the triple kill, making so much space for his CK in the bot lane as well, with everybody having to TP to the top side of the map.
Yeah, this
nice
could be
arrow.
Fantastic arrow coming out. Unfortunately, it's only at Abaddon. They can get the silence off at the very least, and Nicky's looking at this one right now with the Starstorm coming through. They might actually get this one, but no, Time Walk going to do so much for Tifty, get him all his health back and get him out to safety. Meanwhile, down to the bottom lane.
I think that was another block.
It looked like another block in the creep wave there. Moist just making some very moist plays, and in mid now as well. The Zeus is going to take a fall. Yeah, Zai trying to TP in and help out, but a little bit too late. This Kunkka is getting a little bit out of hand here, and that's the danger of the hero. That's why he's being picked up so much by just about everybody.
Yeah, it felt like, do you remember that stage in the draft where they weren't really sure what to pick, and they picked the Zeus 4th? It feels like, I don't want to say it was a panic pick, but maybe they didn't really think it through properly, that you know, this hero can be punished really easily by these these roaming supports like Mirana.
All right, let's have a look at the net worth charts now. We've got the CK on top, followed closely by the Kunkka, both doing very, very well. And look at the Mirana is on top of every hero on the Dire side.
I don't really like Dai's skill build on this Grimstroke this game. I feel like they have these 2 melee cores in the Void and the Tiny. Like, why would you not max the Inkswell here? I know some games the Stroke of Fate's really good, where you want to just push out waves constantly, but they've got the Lina for that. They've got the Zeus for that. You know, why do they need this max Stroke of Fate early on? Oh, going in bot lane, seeing if they can get the CK
Yeah, they need to be a little bit quicker than that. And CK, he's going to look to turn this one around, I'm sure, as he turns around with the Stunning. He's on top of him as well. They're trying to blow him up as quickly as possible, but there's a double lightning bolt coming through, doing so much work. And again, going to leash for a second time as they jump forwards. Moist is going to go down. This is the return we're looking for here, but a two-man boat. They try to drop the Laguna Blade onto the Bane. Bane trying to get himself out to safety. Lina coming forwards. Might have been enough more than she could do as Mo is trying to chase him down. Does he have the X marks? Doesn't look like it. Couldn't catch out the Lina. He's sticking around to try and farm these up. They really want to make something happen, but Tiny takes so much damage from simply the cleave from the Kunkka. And as does Alina, and she's going to get herself X-Smashed. I'm fairly sure Barg might be dead here. Modeball's on top of him. Needs one more right click. The Light Striker Raid does come down with the Avalanche as well. Blaze's going in to save the day. Fiend's Grip forced out. But still, I mean, that is an ultimate use at the very least, but I think you would have rather have your Lina die and your Tiny survive in that situation, but...
Yeah, that feels really bad, doesn't it, that you try to save your 4, that you end up dying yourself.
Yeah.
But look at these net worths now. I don't know if you saw it in the items builds. Kunka's actually picked up a hood. He looked like he was going to be going for that Radiance because he had a lot of gold, but this is what I thought Sky would be building on the Abaddon, but it ends up they go for on the Kunkka instead, so having that really early pipe is going to be so helpful against the Zeus and the Tiny, the Lina. There's a lot of magic damage coming out on this Dire side, and this Zeus is so poor. He hasn't even got Arcane Boots yet on this Zeus. He's not having a fun game at all.
Yeah, it's been a bit of a running over so far, unfortunately for the Thunder. But we did see some action bottom which kind of favoured them a bit. Still though, things up in the air. They really need to kind of find themselves some grounding, find themselves way back into this one.
I mean, this is the reason Kunka's been picked up so much recently. We see it first banned a lot of times. This potential to just fight early and just get online. The heroes.
No one does it better. Sky using the Moonlight Shadow right now and immediately thrown in the ultimate, but this is just the Void locked down for such a long time. Now Silence up as well, Icky coming in, but he's going to be taking the damage and down goes the Void. However, they did get the return kill at least onto the Bane, so that's something I guess. Sky will take some hits here, but he's okay. Gets himself to safety. Yeah,
the fact is borrowed time doesn't pop there's really big as well. Feels rubbish as an Abaddon when your borrowed time gets like procced by something really small.
Yeah, for sure. And, this Kunkka is causing issues right now, doing so much damage.
Icky is actually 4th in net worth now on this Mirana, ahead of everybody on the Dire side.
For the second time this game, yeah. Icky is having a ridiculously good game. Really has been the backbone to this team as well. Every time we've seen him rotate, it feels like he's just been getting a load of work done. 16 kills so far.
He has 1,600 gold on the Mirana as well. I'm wondering if he wants to like rush this early Greaves, whether he wants to go for something like a Solar Crest instead. They have a lot of like utility heroes on the team. They have the Kunkka, they have the Abaddon, they have the Mirana. They've got to make sure they distribute their items correctly across the game to make hit this really good mid-game timing with the lead that they have.
Absolutely, and of course, you know, with the Void in the game, that Solar Crest gets extra value if you can just weaken someone inside the Chrono and blast them down. Milk asks Modeball. Do you want to explain this question?
Yeah, the Milk on the keyboard, the Rhyme special last week. Oh, door. Oh, it's not as exciting as we thought.
No, it's no Milk on the keyboard this time. But yeah, the door has been opened. Pizza time. Like, he's got to tell us who it was, right?
Yeah, I mean, I'm hoping so. We have to remember this game, by the way, that they do have Void Zeus. So at some point in this game, if the Radiant don't make the most of their advantage, they do have really good team fight on the Dire side. You know, they have potential to find kills with the double Laguna, you know, the Chronosphere. If this Zeus picks up an Axe eventually for the Nimbus, there's always kill potential on the map.
Yeah, that's true.
It's not even just in the Chrono as well, right? Like if this Tiny gets a Blink and they pop the Nimbus on top of the Blink Avalanche Toss, there's so much burst damage.
They are gathering once more, looking towards this middle lane this time, and an arrow. Oh, beautiful! Blaze caught out by it, and they're going to throw down the torrent on top. But they don't want to commit under the tier 2. That's a little bit too much, but they'll get some damage out for sure. However, they've actually thrown down the ultimate. Now, the Chronosphere coming down onto both of them as well, actually getting them both as a double Laguna. Just not enough damage coming out, even with the double Laguna. It's not going to do enough, and now Moist comes back in, rips the Void limb from limb. They're going to look for more, but the rest of the Thunderhides are on their way back, but no, Blaze, he gets caught out. Life Strike Array is nice, but it's not enough, as Sky borrowed time heals him up greatly, and oh no, Buddy G on the steps of his base gets beaten down by Modeball and Moist, and I mean, this game, It's looking pretty scary right now.
That was the power of the pipe, though, right, from the Kunka, that they used everything they could, but because they're so far
another
ahead.
one. An X marks. Who have they got this time? Who's on the end of that reel? Looks like it's the Grimstroke being beaten down. Oh, is he making a way? Yeah, he's up onto the high ground. He's up onto the high ground, but Icky's, yeah, he wants this. He absolutely wants everything they can get. Could be a response now as Mode Ball's being held back. They've got the toss onto him. This is a big kill. 3 times kill streak gone down. The Zeus is dead. They're actually going to look towards the Bane as well. Bane can turn around with the Nightmare. Going to use it onto the Void. Let's say chasing as best he can. A rare miss, actually,
do you know what
from the Mirana, but it doesn't look like they're going to grab anything.
Do you know what the play was there? You toss the Tiny on you toss the Void onto the Bane and you wake him up midair just as you throw it. And then you just gotta think of these things.
Pretty insane. Can you do that?
No, that's why I'm not playing. That's why I'm casting instead.
Gotcha.
I just flame everybody else and pretend that I can. That's the way to go, really.
Easy peasy caster line. Nice catapult there for the Mirana. Still leading the net worth above all other Diet heroes.
Yeah, Nicky does have that mech on the Mirana now as well, about 1,000 gold off the Greaves. So they're going to be really helpful for this the pushes that they're going to be going for.
Yeah, and with this mech as well, it really is time to group up and try and push its advantage on the side of the Crimson Guard. The time for skirmishing, for getting kills is over. The time for pushing down towers and trying to break that high ground is very much upon them. 12k advantage, 18 minutes in. I mean, they don't have the hugest pushing lineup, but then again, Abaddon can't be underestimated with his passive, giving everybody an attack boost. Oh, okay, they've managed to catch themselves out of Bane here. It's a really response coming in. Icky's making his way over. He is a threat in and of himself, but with the blink forward, they'll be able to grab this kill. Grimstroke ulti is used, though.
Do you want to chrono him as well? That was pretty much everything.
They're running away now with Sky just chasing them down. He's going to be able to get his Curse of Avernus off onto the Tiny, trying to chase him up onto the high ground as well. Tiny trying to back himself out. He's going to be okay, actually. They've got the Shrine to TP to. The Zeus coming in as well. Going to throw down a couple of lightning bolts, just harry them with a bit of damage. With Mode Ball, he's looking for the X marks, and if he finds it, you're sure to be dead. Live Strike Array comes down onto the Abaddon, holding him back and allowing his team to get back up to the high ground. But now he's going to come sailing through. Oh no, it catches onto Zion.